This is a production of the Gold Arrow Podcast Network. Hello, and welcome to the Gold Arrow Camp POG-Cast, a podcast for friends of Gold Arrow Camp. Throughout the year, we join you to bring your day some of what makes Gold Arrow special. Our goal is to help you have fun, make friends, and grow throughout the year, not just when you're at GAC. Since we can't get together in real life, we gather here, around the virtual campfire. We have some of your favorite parts of morning assembly. We also have interviews with experienced campers and some of your favorite counselors. We think it's a lot of fun, and we're glad you joined us here on the podcast. This is episode 47, where we're joined by our first favorite counselor from the second city. It's Luna. Today we chat with Luna, who worked with us as both an arts and crafts counselor and a group counselor last summer. Luna found us the way a lot of people find us, which is through a Google search, which I somehow am still amazed by. She, like so many other people, found camp and then fell in love with camp. How did you find camp, and why did you fall in love with it? I'd love to hear from you about that. You can always send us an email on the podcast here. That email is wow, W-O-W, @goldarrowcamp.com, and we'll share our favorite stories on the air. If you love camp so much that you want to be on the podcast, we'd love that too. Just send us an email or give us a call at camp. I'd love to chat with you about camp, record it, and put it on the podcast. But until you're on the podcast, here's Luna. Oh, welcome to the podcast. It's Luna. What's up, Luna?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. I'm just hanging out, talking to people for the podcast. It's like the best part of my job pretty easily.
Yeah,
so what are you up to?
fun.
You're not at camp. You're back at school. Tell the fine podcast listeners where you go to school, what you're studying, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I live in Chicago, and I go to the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, and I'm living right in the heart of the city, and I study filmmaking and sound. So
Filmmaking
working
and
with
sound.
films, yeah, possibly going like the directing route. I write like scripts and stuff. So
Wow. And I was going to ask what you want to do, but you think maybe directing, or are you still just kind of exploring about?
I've like explored directing a lot. I think that I really like the aspect of sound and how that can be curated in like movies. And I've made some film scores before, composed some things. So yeah.
Okay. I guess on a more camp level of things, could you maybe tell us a little bit about what you do at camp, like what your role at camp was this summer?
Yeah, I was arts and crafts, and I worked with Artemis and Swift.
Yeah,
I don't know why I'm forgetting her name. I have no idea why I'm forgetting her name. She's great. And well, we just ran that, and it was wonderful. A lot of painting, ceramics also, and was mainly sticking around that. I didn't really move around, teach anything else at camp, but yeah, land activities was my thing.
So it was your first year at camp, and as you mentioned, like you're kind of out of the Midwest. How did you end up on the West Coast at a children's summer camp in the mountains?
Yeah. So how did I find it?
Yeah, like what's that journey kind of look like? I'm always interested.
I was sitting in science class, and it was like one of those really, really terribly cold days. And I was like, what am I going to do this summer? And so I started researching jobs, because I was like, what if I found something where I found a place that I can, travel for work, or, I know there's things you could do like that. So I looked up summer camps. It just was random. And, I was supposed to be listening probably to my lecture about whatever that was going on in science, but I was on my computer, and then I came across Gold Arrow Camp, and I was like looking through all the activities, and I just applied. I think you asked me for rocks and ropes, but I don't know.
But it turns out if you're like at school at the Art Institute of Chicago, maybe we'll consider looking at like an arts and crafts position.
Yeah, I thought that maybe like I'd be okay at that.
Yeah, and it turns out I was up there when we were putting stuff away, and we opened up the cabinet or the shed at Arts and Crafts, and like all of the drawings on the back of the door were still there. I was like, these guys are really talented.
You're like, did she do her job?
No, well, it's one of those things that you see all the camper work kind of all summer, and you think, oh, they're good instructors, and campers are really making cool stuff. But I don't often have a chance to see counselor work, and it's always kind of a nice reminder that you guys really do have kind of these skill sets.
Yeah, it was a really fun time. Like, I miss it so much.
Right?
We were just like, yeah, it was a great time.
This is a hard time of the year because it feels like now you're far enough away from it that you're like ready to go back, but it's like you look at the calendar and you're like, but it's we have a long time still.
Yeah. That is, how many months even? 7, 8?
I'm not sure. It's a lot. I don't really start counting until we get to January, and then I can do the math.
Oh my gosh, I know that's me once it starts. Chicago starts turning into Antarctica.
Right.
Probably start counting down the days.
Oh yeah, you're just gonna spend all day on the website looking at pictures. And like, oh, it was warm.
I'm just gonna be looking at all my pictures I've taken. I have them hanging up on my wall.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously you enjoyed camp quite a bit. Like we can hear it. What was your single favorite part about being at camp?
Oh, I think it was just the people and the community that is built. And it was just, everyone was actually genuinely so positive and nice and worked together so beautifully. I've worked at a camp before, and I've just like never found, like, it was just, there's something up there. Like, everyone was so sweet. It wasn't intimidating. Just meeting so many people and having connections now, and just like thinking about and like texting them even after camp, like that was all like very real relationships that were built. So
yeah, I think I've been thinking a lot about this because a lot of people, when I ask kind of like, what did you love about camp? The answer is often, well, it was so genuine and positive. And I'm trying to think, and because I mean, we obviously talk about like, hey, this is a positive place and we want to approach things positively. But I think like it's that permission structure that says, yeah, you can kind of put yourself out and this is a genuine positive place and you can take maybe risks that you wouldn't take other places. Yeah. And because that permission is in place, it then allows everything to be more positive and more engaging. And then to do it in a place where we're not staring at a phone or the internet all the time.
Yeah, totally.
Which there aren't a ton of those places left, right? Like every place has the internet. And so that I think is a big reason for that.
Yeah, I think everyone also is just very comfortable with being themselves.
Yeah,
and so
for sure.
That's just like a huge step in like developing relationships and being comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. So you talked about like kind of your overall view of camp and it being positive and that being the best part about camp in general. But like you were at arts and crafts a lot of the time. What was the best part about being specifically at arts and crafts?
Yeah, arts and crafts was really fun. I felt like when the kids came in, they just had this like ability to really like just relax and have fun. Although like camp is like that, but like there was something in arts and crafts. It was the arts and crafts magic that me, Swift, and Artemis gave off. And I don't know, they just like really had fun. And like even just giving them a plain piece of paper, like they just made this thing. They just like created this thing from their head. I don't know. It was a really good time.
Okay. Like, do you think, I mean, you're studying around art people, so that might not be the best question, but do you feel like as a young person, there's a lot of space in schools and just in society in general for just that kind of open creation? Or do you think this is a fairly unique thing?
Oh no, I definitely think it's a fairly unique thing because like at this school, you know, there's certain ways to do things. And although, you know, it is like art is like for you really have the agency to like take it where it can go. And that's that. But like at camp, it was just, you just had fun. The pressure wasn't there. It wasn't about like getting critiqued or anything and a grade. It was just letting go and having fun and letting your mind do its thing. Okay.
At the end of the summer, you stepped into a group counselor role for a session.
Oh yeah.
Right? GC Luna was in the house.
I remember that.
Yeah, right?
Good times.
And so then you weren't necessarily teaching everybody. You were hanging out with just your girls. What was your favorite part about being a GC?
It was such a good time. It was a great switch up. I think the best part was doing the activities with them and just like being able to connect with them and like see how everyone had their part in the activity. And it was a very bonding experience from being an AC.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So out of all of the things you did this summer, all of the people you hung out with, all the campers you saw, what's your single favorite camp memory?
Oh, this is easy. Everyone always asks me this. My favorite camp memory was when it rained or it had the hailstorm.
Yeah.
And there was just some people. It was like me, Artemis. I forgot. Ziggy was there. It was raining, and we were by the big campfire, and the music was playing, and we were all just like dancing like lunatics. I don't know. It was a really good time. It was just pouring.
Right, because you would think that the rain would be the worst and like everybody gets wet, and instead you're saying,
yeah,
like,
right.
And it doesn't rain on us often, so I guess that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
There's like this kind of wild uniqueness to the day when it rains. That's awesome. All right, Luna.
That was a really good time.
Good. I'm glad. All right, Luna, it's time for the speed round. 5 questions we ask absolutely everybody who comes on the podcast. Luna, what's your favorite camp song?
My favorite camp song, Mrs. O'Leary, probably.
Well, obviously you're a Chicago native. That makes total sense.
Yeah, Midwest, you know.
You know, long before you came here, we actually did an all Chicago version of Mrs. O'Leary, like an all Chicago sports version.
Oh my God.
There was like a jump, Jordan, jump kind of thing in there. It was good.
Totally.
It was wild. Favorite item on the salad bar?
On the salad bar?
Yeah.
Probably like when they had jalapenos out.
Oh.
But it was always a good surprise.
Right? You go to make a salad, you're like, ooh, hello.
Yeah.
Favorite lip balm flavor?
Oh, man. Niski grape.
Niski grape, just for the name, if nothing else. I'm with you.
It's so clever.
Around the campfire at night, mallows or popcorn?
Oh. You know what? I'm going to go mallows.
Okay, solid choice. And finally,
Yeah.
Luna, what's your real name?
I'm
sorry. We're all out of time. We'll have to get you the next time we're on. Luna, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, no problem.
That's so good.
All right. Thank you, Soy. It was good.
Joke of the cast, joke of the cast. 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 Joke of the cast. I am a well-known aficionado of a genre of joke known as the dad joke. And so now, a joke about dad jokes. Do you guys know when a joke becomes a dad joke? Well, it's when the joke becomes apparent. At camp, we love making friends, but we know it's harder to make friends at home. That's why we bring you this, the Friendship Tip of the Week. All month, we've been working on friendship skills around the theme of celebrating your friends, and this is a really great one in that theme. We think it's a good idea to have a list or a calendar where you can keep track of the special events in your friends' lives, like their birthdays, so that you can remember to reach out to them and make them feel special on special days for them. Today's GACspiration comes from a sign we saw in a shop in Colorado. Adventure leaves you speechless and then turns you into a storyteller. Well, that does it. That's another episode of the Gold Arrow Camp POG-Cast in the books and in your ears. Special thanks today to Luna for dropping by the show to talk about what was so great about being both an AC at Arts and Crafts and a GC. Special thanks to Sunshine for sending along that GACspiration. Special thanks to Cheerio for doing the Friendship Tip of the Week. And special thanks to you for listening. As always, if you enjoy the show, please take the time to rate us and review us wherever you get podcasts. And feel free to share the show with a friend. Though we say it's for friends of Gold Arrow Camp, really, there are only 2 kinds of people in this world. Friends we've made and friends we haven't made yet. And so if you share the show, I'm sure they might get something out of it, and we'd really appreciate that. As always, I'm Soy, and I'll save a marshmallow for you.